Hi everyone, it's Daniel here. Today I'll be talking about 5 bands, yes that's correct, 5 bands that deserve better in the music community. Not just in the music community, but in general, because I know quite a few people, don't give these bands a chance, and they really should, because there's actually a lot of really good music in my opinion. So if you know me well enough, then I think 3 out of the 5 of these won't be a surprise, but yeah. And I've also got another clue, they're all 80s bands, so yeah. A lot of people have a problem with 80s production and 80s music in general. I don't, I love it, and yeah. So I picked 5 bands, wasn't too hard, and yeah, so without further ado, let's begin. So, my first band that says better in general, I picked Level 42. I know, it's a shame. Here's Standard Light, my favourite album, if you know me well enough already. This is my favourite Level 42 album. Yeah, unfortunately this band doesn't get the love they deserve. I think they're really underrated and a great band. A few people I know in real life, yeah, can't stand them. Or at least can't stand Mark King singing, because I don't know. I don't mind his singing. His voice definitely improved. His voice definitely improved. From his solo album onwards, like Influences, that's the name of his solo album, which came out in 1984, just a few months before True Colours came out. Yeah, I feel like his voice, I feel like he found his voice, on that album. Sort of like Phil Collins, with Face Value onwards, found his real voice and all that, and yeah. Oh, actually Duke, I meant, sorry, but yeah. Anyhow, yeah, it's Standard Light, my favourite album. Very talented band in my opinion, yeah. Got Mark King on vocals and bass, and he also plays a few other instruments here and there as well. So that's pretty cool. He's still in the band, same with Mike Lindup, great keyboardist and vocalist. I love both of them as singers, they both work really well, and yeah, Mike Lindup also has a solo career, and his debut solo album was Changes, released in 1990. I think that's a great album. Even though it came out in 1990, it still has that 80s production, which I really like. So yeah, and then we've got the Gould brothers, Phil Gould, who played drums and backup vocals with the band. He left after Running in the Family, and came back, joined the recording of their album Forever Now, and then left again. And then Boone, yeah, Roland Boone Gould, who sadly passed away 5 years ago in 2019. And yeah, I think he's a really underrated guitarist. He was the most quiet. He was the quiet one out of the bunch, but he could play guitar like a boss, or a god, that sort of thing. Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah. Occasionally he'll play keyboards with them live, just some parts, because obviously Mike Lindup doesn't have 3 hands, does he? So yeah, and yeah, occasionally some backup vocals live, and yeah, I think he's a really underrated guitarist, and he was involved with the songwriting even after he left the band, Staring at the Sun and Retroglide. So yeah, Level 42 have done 10 or 11 studio albums, depends if you want to count Strategy, aka the early tapes, as a studio album, but yeah, Level 42, great band. I love Mark King's bass playing especially, and his singing as well. Yeah, they're a jazz funk band, so I feel like his vocals fit in with the genre of the music. And Mike Lindup obviously sings falsetto parts, and even in some songs he sings the lead vocal, which I really like. And yeah, Phil Gould's a great drummer. Phil, Mark, the secret 5th member, Wally Badarou, and their session saxophone player Gary Barnacle, they all met during their work with the band M, and I think 3 out of the 4 of them musicians played on pop music, which is pretty cool. So yeah, when I listen to them, I kind of feel like I'm listening to Level 42. And there's another track, I can't remember the name, but Mark King plays the bass, and it sounds crazy, and you can tell it's him if you're a Level 42 fan. I do know some people out there that love Level 42. Level 42 is, yeah, 50-50. You're going to get half the amount of people you meet or bump into, they're going to be like, yeah, I quite like Level 42, or I love the band. You know, they'll either, you know, be positive about the band or be, you know, kind of negative, be like, I don't really care for them or I dislike them. I think they're a rubbish 80s band, but I don't. I love them. If you've been watching my channel long enough, then you know that I love this band and I can't stop talking about them clearly. So yeah, I've listened to all their albums, so yeah, proves I'm a fan. My second pick is going to be Mike and the Mechanics. A lot of people take the mick out of this band. Don't know why. They're fantastic. This is the only album I own, The Living Years. There's a new grey vinyl like edition, which is pretty cool. So yeah, obviously it's a spin-off to Genesis. We have Mike Rutherford, who's the leader of the band, and we also have Paul Carrack, who was previously in Ace and Squeeze on vocals. We also have Paul Young from Sad Cafe, not the singer Paul Young, but yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Two great singers. I think both are great, and you know they share well. With each album, it's 50-50. You get what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty cool. So one song you get Paul Carrack singing, one song you get Paul Young singing, and then we have Adrian Lee on keyboards. Coincidentally, he played on Influences as well, Mark King's solo album. And then we have Peter Van Hook on drums. And we've also had a few session players throughout the first couple of studio albums, which are the only ones I've listened to. The only song I pretty much know after that is Over My Shoulder, which that's a great song, I think. More acoustic though. Their 80s stuff was mostly like synth pop and all that, or like soft rock and all that. They've done some great songs though. Silent Running on Dangerous Ground features Alan Murphy, who was also in Level 42, coincidence, you know. Bit of a connection with Level, can't speak today. Bit of a connection with this band and Level 42, which, yeah, might be a bit unhealthy, but, you know, I love these bands, so, yeah. Unhealthy to some people, at least. Pretty much, yeah. Mike and the Mechanics, great band. I love most of their songs, you know, like I said, Silent Running on Dangerous Ground, All I Need Is a Miracle, great song. Paul Young sings that. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2000. Rest in peace to him. The only original member left in the band is Mike Rutherford, and we've also got Roachford in the band, who did the song Cuddly Toy. I think he's a great singer. I don't know the other bloke, I keep forgetting his name, but yeah. So yeah, Nobody's Perfect's a great song. Taken In, Living Years, that is beautiful. That is a heartbreaking song. I love that. Like Mike Rutherford wrote that about his dad who passed away, and you know the song might, you know, make you feel emotional, you know. But yeah, it's just, it makes me emotional, and like, yeah, like, because I feel for Mike and all that. And Paul Carrack lost his father as well, unfortunately. But yeah, I think Paul Carrack's a very talented keyboardist and vocalist. In this band, he only sings. I think Dote's an underrated track, and Black and Blue sort of has like that Motown feel. So that's pretty cool with the 80s production, and Why Me's a nice way to end off this album. So yeah, this is my favourite album. It was hard to pick between this album and the debut. I think the debute's great, but this album's slightly better. So yeah, I think this is a great album, and Mike and the Mechanics, I think they're a great band. If you're more into the pop era of Genesis, you know, like say like self-titled to We Can't Dance, you know, Invisible Touch in Between, you know, that sort of era of Genesis, then Mike and the Mechanics are definitely the band for you. So yeah, another great band in my opinion. I think Mike should be proud of this band, because of course he had 2 solo albums. I've only listened to Small Creeps Day, but I'll definitely give the second album a shot at some point. So yeah, and I'll rank them both, you know. So yeah. Right, so my third choice is going to be a band that, yeah, another band that a lot of people take the mick out of and seem to really dislike. And that band is Simply Red. I know. I love Simply Red. I think they're a great band, you know. My granddad was a massive fan of Simply Red. He's up there, by the way. You see him in most of my videos. Simply Red are a great band. I love Mick Hucknall as a singer. I've seen him live, a songwriter, you know. Yeah, I went to see the band live a couple of years ago. I think they were great. Even with the new band, I mean, you've still got Ian Kirkham in the band, and the rest of the band are talented, in my opinion. And yeah, New Flame is definitely my favourite album. It was a tie between this, Picture Book and Stars. I think all 3 albums are great. Men and Women's still great as well. I think that's a fairly underrated album, and Life is as well. And I also think Blue and Love in the Russian Winter underrated too. I know some of their later singles and all that, but I'm more into like their earlier stuff, you know, from the 80s, the 90s and all that. So yeah, Simply Red are a great band. I think Mick's a great vocalist. Of course, hit singles, Holding Back the Years, Money's Too Tight to Mention, which was originally by the Valentine Brothers. Mick Hucknall played that song to death as a DJ. Interestingly enough, he was in another band called the Frantic Elevators, and he wrote Holding Back the Years when he was 17, so pretty cool. Of course, he's done cover of Barry White's It's Only Love, If You Don't Know Me By Now, by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I prefer the Simply Red version. You can disagree with me if you want, but Simply Red's version is absolutely beautiful. And yeah, got other songs. You've Got It, A New Flame, To Be With You. Turn It Up is quite a, you know, it's a really funky upbeat song, but the lyrics are quite, you know, I don't know how to describe it, but a bit more, I don't know. Yeah, basically it's sort of a protest song, and yeah, like the lyrics are more darker than like the music, so yeah. I think Enough's a great way to end off this album. I've done a review of this album actually, and most of these albums, so if you want to check them out, then yeah. I'll leave a link to this album in my review of this album in the description if you want to check it out. So yeah, New Flame, probably my favourite Simply Red album. My favourite song is Holding Back the Years. I don't care, that is a great song, especially the album version with the longer intro and that Yamaha DX7. That's another thing people have a problem with about the 80s. The Yamaha DX7, they're like, oh, it's a terrible keyboard. And enough of it, I want to put a knife into it like what Keith Emerson used to do with his organ. No, be nice to the Yamaha DX7. It's just like any other keyboard, like any other instrument, got to show some respect to it. So yeah, please be nice to the Yamaha DX7, everyone. And yeah, Simply Red are underrated. I think at least their first album deserves a chance. Yeah, maybe Men and Women. I mean, that was the most difficult album they had to record, and that was the only album to have Alex Sadkin until, like, that was the last album Alex Sadkin produced before he uneventfully and tragically passed away. So yeah, Simply Red, great band. I love them. They're sort of like a sophisti-pop, blue-eyed soul funk band. I've noticed the thing with these bands, like most of them are like sophisti-pop or like just like 80s pop bands. I know. Very, very, very unusual pattern here. So, but, oh well. Simply Red, my third choice. I think they're underrated. Definitely give at least their first couple of albums a listen. And if you think they're good enough, give the rest a shot. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with covers. Simply Red's covers are absolutely awesome, and I actually prefer some of them over the original. Yeah, don't shoot me. My fourth pick is going to be another band beginning with S. Yes, I've done all these in alphabetical order because why not? My next choice is Spandau Ballet. Now, I don't know why some people don't like this band. They say they only did two good songs, which are true and gold. They have way better songs than just them two. I mean, on this album, you've got Through the Barricades, Fight for Ourselves, Virgin, How Many Lies. Great songs. If you don't like 80s production, if you don't like drum machines and synths and keyboards and all that, then yeah, there's nothing I can do, I'm afraid. But yeah, I mean, Tony Hadley, I think he's a great singer. I think the band definitely found their sound after Diamond. You know, their old producer, they had enough of him, so they had two new producers, Johnny and Swain, who had produced music for Imagination and Bananarama. Once they came in, I think the band definitely improved, and their songwriting got better as well, and their instrumentation. You know, Tony Hadley sings lead vocals and played keyboards early on with the band, and then we also have the Kemp brothers, Gary and Martin, same two right there. Gary plays guitar, occasional keyboards and backup vocals. He's the main lyricist. You know, he's wrote pretty much nearly all the songs Spandau Ballet have ever done. And then Martin Kemp's his younger brother, who plays bass in the band. I think he's an underrated bass player. And both are great actors too. If you've not watched The Craze, then yeah, I'll have to do a review on that film at some point, and the DVD as well. So yeah, Kemp brothers, I think they're a pretty cool duo. And then Steve Norman, early on he played guitar with the band, and then moved to percussion, and then the saxophone, and then played occasional keyboards with the band. And I think John Keeble's a really underrated drummer as well. So yeah, if you don't like 80s music, then Spandau Ballet are probably not the band for you. They kind of started off as like a new wave romantic like band. I don't know how to describe the genre, but yeah, like most of the songs of the first album, I still think the first album is like really good, but all the songs aren't the same. I mean, you've got, to cut long story short, The Freeze. I think the playing on that album's fantastic, but like the production, like all the songs pretty much sound the same. Like, use the same instruments and all that. I don't mind that with some bands, you know, Dire Straits, that works really well. But I mean, well, with the first couple of albums, you had like half the songs were acoustic and half of them were like more electric, you know, pub rock sort of thing. But yeah, I think Spandau Ballet are a fairly underrated band in my opinion. Communication's a great song. Motivator, Be Free With Your Love. Foundation's a really underrated deep cut. That's probably my favourite song actually by this band, because how catchy it is, and I love the synths as well. And Steve Norman's saxophone solo is fantastic. I never get tired of hearing songs like True or Gold or Communication or Through the Barricades or To Cut a Long Story Short. I think they were great songs, especially True. Like, I remember hearing that on the radio and being like, this is a great song. And yeah, I never get tired of it. I always get excited when it comes on the radio. Fantastic song, I love it. So yeah, I don't think I've done a review of this album. No, I haven't. I don't think I have. No, I don't think so. I will do it at some point, don't worry. So, Spandau Ballet, my fourth pick. A band that definitely deserves better in the music community and, you know, people in general, you know. If you prefer Duran Duran, I can understand. So yeah, I'll definitely have to check their albums out soon. And then my final pick, my fifth and final choice, is going to be a Scottish band, which they formed in 1986, I think. And the band I'm talking about is Wet Wet Wet. I think they're a great band. Wishing I Was Lucky is a great song with a killer bass line. Graham Clark's pretty much the only original member left in the band. Yeah, unfortunately, all the other lads have left. Tommy Cunningham, the drummer, Marty Pello, the lead singer, and Neil Mitchell, the short keyboardist. Yeah, the rest of them are like 5'10", and then he's like 5'4". I know, but you know, yeah. Wishing I Was Lucky is a great song. Angel Eyes is beautiful. I think that's a great song. Sweet Little Mystery. Got Temptation, which was a single. Where's Wisdom is underrated, and yeah. On this CD version, you get a live version, Wishing I Was Lucky, which has a horn section, which is pretty cool. I think Wet 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 are a very underrated band. I prefer their early stuff. Like, this is the only album I listen to. I know another song called Sweet Surrender, which is a pretty good song in my opinion. Like, sort of like atmospheric. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Angel Eyes, but yeah, I definitely have to give that album a shot. You know, the second studio album. This was their first. Popped in, sold out. Pretty cool name, and yeah. Just yeah, very underrated album in my opinion, and yeah, I think Wet 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 deserve you know, more attention and yeah, more love in my opinion. So yeah, not the same band now, but you know, and I think the guitarist who played on this album, Graham Duffin, I think he's an official member now, despite being like much older than the rest of the band. But yeah, I think Wet 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 are a great band, and yeah, deserve much more of a better reputation in general. So yeah, so thank you for watching everyone. This has been my 5 bands that I think deserve better, you know, in the music community, you know, and just in general, to be fair. So yeah, quick recap. So Wet Wet Wet, Spandau Ballet, Simply Red, and yes, I did pick my favourite albums, by the way, or at least my favourite albums that I own. Mighty Mechanics, and of course Level 42. If you've only listened to a few songs by these bands or know the greatest hits, then definitely give like their deep cuts a listen, like their whole discography, or at least like a few of their albums. I'd highly recommend it. So yeah, let me know your 5 bands which you think deserve better, and yeah, please do let me know. I'm curious to see what you think. You might have a 70s band, you might have a 90s band. I'm really curious. All these are 80s bands, so like, yeah. I know there's a lot of people out there that love 80s music, and of course there's going to be people that yeah, prefer to avoid it. But I love all these bands, and don't get me wrong, like, yeah, I think, yeah, a lot of underrated material in these albums, and yeah, it's great playing from each member of all these bands, especially Level 42 in my opinion. So yeah, so thanks once again everyone, and yeah, I shall see you all next time, and take it easy as always. Yep, in a bit. Peace.